Women's rights activists and government leaders from Afghanistan say Afghan women and girls are becoming increasingly concerned about their safety and rights. They say dozens of women in community leadership positions have been assassinated in the past year. The overthrow of the Taliban may have provided some basic freedom for the women and girls of Afghanistan, but they continue to face stark challenges in achieving equality. The withdrawal of foreign troops from Afghanistan by the end of 2014 has been a central issue in discussions about women's rights in the near future. Afghan politicians and women's rights activists say the role of women and girls in the transition and reconciliation process of the country is often overlooked. Afghan female MP Shinkai Karakhil says being a woman in Afghanistan, and especially a politician, can be risky.
We're living in a very male-dominated society, and they will never, ever consider you as an equal citizen. And when you are fighting for justice and equality, you will face lots of resistance and discrimination and challenges.
Shinkai Karakhil says too much foreign aid is focused on the military side of Afghanistan and not enough on the issues relating to civilians. Executive Director of the Women, Peace and Security Research Institute in Kabul, Vajma Froh, agrees. She says Australia should make advancement of women and girls' rights a key component of its aid program for Afghanistan. Ms Froh says Afghan women can face problems when voicing their opinions, even in their own homes.
It starts from the family members that, for example, my family get angry whenever they see me in media, whenever they see me on TV defending a rape victim or defending women's rights, because they think this puts me in a more dangerous situation and risk increases for the family. Similarly, in the society, because we are challenging a lot of power holders, a lot of tribal leaders and warlords. So all of them we are threats for them. That's why they do whatever they can in order to silence us. And in the past 9 months, we have lost around 70 women leaders only. These are not victims of violence, domestic violence. These are women leaders who have been killed, assassinated for political reasons, for social reasons, just to create fear in the communities.
It's this fear of going against traditions and customs which Afghan MP Muhammad Noor Akbari says often prevents women from standing up for their rights. He agrees that a key focus of the Australian aid program should be strengthening the position of women in Afghan society.
A lot of problems which Afghan women are facing. One is the custom of Afghanistan, the tradition and culture of Afghanistan, which is really abandon the women in their house. There is discrimination among men and women. And there is the lack of the law in benefit of the protection of the women, which we have to create that. And that the government of Australia, the only way which they could support the women of Afghanistan, it is the capacity building for the women of Afghanistan.
Implementing capacity-building projects for women and communities in general in Afghanistan is a key vision for the Melbourne-based Afghan-Australian Development Organisation. Director of the organisation, Dr. Nuria Salehi, says Australia should support long-term projects in Afghanistan that help women and girls.
Now I hope they help the Afghan women to continue their work and also fill the gap between men and women in Afghanistan by education, especially education of girls and women, and also the vocational training, which is a very important part of the education in Afghanistan, because a lot of women have no skills. It's why they cannot work in Afghanistan, and the violation against women starts because women are not working.
Women's rights activist Vajma Froh also advocates a strong focus on upgrading women's skills to achieve long-lasting change in Afghanistan. She says despite the challenges in Afghanistan, women and girls have experienced some progress since the fall of the Taliban.
I think in the past 11 years, things we have achieved, our neighboring countries couldn't achieve in 70 years. We have like 69 women sitting in the parliament. We have, for example, Ministry of Women's Affairs. We have 3 to 4 million girls going to school, for example, which was impossible under the Taliban. So there has been a lot of progress, but because a war is ongoing, it's very difficult to create accountability for the military.
Australia's Global Ambassador for Women and Girls, Penny Williams, says the general situation has improved for Afghan women and girls in the past few years. Ms Williams says Australia recognises that more needs to be done after the withdrawal of foreign troops next year.
There's been some steps forward in Afghanistan in terms of child mortality reduction, also increase in skilled birth attendance, increase in the number of girls in school. We're very conscious that we need to keep absolutely engaged, and we really need to look to ensure that that continues past the transition.
Activist Vajma Froh praises the strength of Afghan women and girls despite the challenges they face. She supports the withdrawal of foreign troops but says care has to be taken to ensure the gains made by women and girls so far are not reversed. Despite remaining optimistic about the future for Afghan women and girls, Ms Froh says they will need to receive continued national and international support.
We are now in a situation where we can raise our voice. We are influencing global national policies. The next 10 years, particularly the transformation decade, I'm very much hopeful that whole focus would be on actually creating women's ability in environments so that women actually access and use those protection mechanisms. We don't need now any other spokesperson. We can actually speak for ourselves. What is needed is support for us. If women organizations don't have adequate resources, then it means that women are missing out.